China is the largest trading partner of the United States and the biggest exporter of goods to the U.S. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, China exported $536 billion worth of goods to the U.S. in 2022, accounting for almost 20% of the total U.S. imports. The main categories of Chinese exports to the U.S. are electrical machinery, furniture, toys, and sports equipment, including footwear. China's exports to the U.S. have grown rapidly in the past 2 decades, as China has become a global manufacturing hub and a major source of low-cost consumer goods. China's accession to the World Trade Organization in 2001 and the removal of trade barriers have also facilitated its trade with the U.S. and other countries. However, China's trade surplus with the U.S. has also been a source of tension and conflict between the two countries. The U.S. has accused China of unfair trade practices, such as currency manipulation, intellectual property theft, forced technology transfer, and subsidies to state-owned enterprises. The U.S. has also imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods since 2018, triggering a trade war that has hurt both economies and consumers. The trade war has also prompted both countries to seek alternative markets and suppliers and to diversify their trade relations. The U.S. and South Korea have a long history of economic cooperation, dating back to the Korean War armistice in 1953. The two countries have established a vibrant bilateral trade dynamic, which reached $224 billion in 2022, making South Korea the sixth largest trading partner of the U.S. The two countries also signed a free trade agreement in 2011, which was considered a gold standard by top U.S. trade officials. However, the bilateral economic relationship has not been without challenges. The U.S. has maintained a trade deficit with South Korea for decades. The two countries have also faced disputes over issues such as steel tariffs, currency manipulation, and agricultural market access. Moreover, the global pandemic and the rising tensions between the U.S. and China have exposed the fragility and vulnerability of the supply chains that connect the two economies. South Korea is one of the world's leading exporters of goods and services. Its exports account for about 40% of its GDP, making it one of the most trade-dependent countries in the world. In a sign of shifting relations amid global tensions over economic security and technology supply chains, South Korean exports to the U.S. surpassed shipments to China last month for the first time in 2 decades. It has been reported that the South Korean exports to the United States valued at $11.3 billion in December 2023, while the Chinese exports valued at $10.9 billion. The value of South Korean exports with regards to global shipments increased by 14.5% over the previous year, which shows that the exports have continued to grow. The main factors behind this change are increased demand for semiconductors and electric vehicles, and the diversification of South Korea's export markets amid the geopolitical tensions with China. South Korea is a global leader in producing memory chips and batteries, which are essential components for the booming tech and green industries in the U.S. On the other hand, South Korea's exports to China have been affected by the slowdown of the Chinese economy, the trade war with the U.S., and the political disputes over issues such as the deployment of a U.S. missile defense system in South Korea. China has also been trying to reduce its dependence on foreign technology and develop its own domestic industries, which poses a challenge for exporters. The shift of South Korea's export markets reflects its strategic balancing act between its two major partners, the U.S. and China. The U.S. is South Korea's security ally and a key source of advanced technology and investment, while China is South Korea's largest trading partner and a vital player in resolving the North Korean nuclear issue. South Korea has been trying to maintain good relations with both sides, while avoiding being caught in their rivalry. However, this balancing act may become more difficult in the future, as both the U.S. and China are expected to increase their pressure on South Korea to align with their interests and values. The future of China-U.S.-South Korea trade relations remains uncertain and complex, as all three countries face domestic and international challenges. However, given the size and interdependence of their economies, it is likely that they will continue to engage in trade and cooperation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and be sure to subscribe.